stands for supreme reality. It is symbol for what was, what is, and what will be. Om represents also what lies beyond past, present, and future.
Hello and welcome to the Sutra Squad podcast brought to you by One Deep Breath. My name is Seth Barron. I am beyond thrilled to be with these superstars Sutra Squad, Sally Moore.
Hello.
And Sarah Page Hall.
Hello.
Sally, what's one word that describes how you feel right now?
I'm confused, confusion, confused.
Okay. Fair.
Why is that funny? It's honest.
Love it. No, it's just the realness. It's just the realness. I'm so into it.
And it was like confusing. It was like very emphatic. It was real clear.
Your lack of clarity is very clear.
My past, present, and future me are all confused right now.
Okay, great. Let's see what we can do about it. Maybe we'll be more confused. Sarah Page, what's a word that describes how you feel right now?
I feel pretty full. Happyful. That sounds like a word, doesn't? I'm happyful.
Happyful? I like happyful.
It's a nice word.
I like happyful too.
It's a nice
I think
word.
I'm going to use it.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
going to be a word now.
Okay, it's great. No, it's a thing. We made it. I feel curious. I'm just really trying to stay in a moment of some deep curiosity. Okay. So that's where we are right now. And where we are right now is recording an episode about the incredible, fascinating, mystical, eternal sound of Om. And to sort of track our path through this text that we're focused on in this study, which is the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, we're still in the first chapter, the first pada, which is the Samadhi pada. Samadhi is the 8th limb in the Ashtanga 8-limbed yoga system. It means bliss, enlightenment, absorption, like whole and complete presence. You could say if there is a goal of yoga, which is a tricky concept, but if there was one, it would be the attainment of Samadhi. And I always find it so fascinating how this text, how Master Patanjali weaves this story and we begin at the end. The first chapter describes all of these attributes of the final stages of yoga. And then in the second chapter, we learn more about how to do it, right? The sadhana pada. The third chapter, which teaches us about the mystical powers that arise, the vibhuti pada. And then the fourth chapter, which is the freedom, the kaivalya pada, or the liberation. So in this first chapter, in the samadhi pada, we've looked at the opening trilogy that describes really everything. It's all right there. Atha yoga nushasanam 1.1, now is yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha, which is the second verse, 1.2, that yoga is when we restrain the swirl of our mind. And I still am chewing on this concept from this study that we've explored. That idea of the restraint is like a baby swaddle, right? You hold it in so that the baby doesn't get all crazy in there. And then the third verse, tadadrastu svarupe vastanam, 1.3, that the true self shines forth. And then we looked at the two dynamics in play around this idea of the nirodha, which is abhyasa vairagyabhyaham tan nirodha, 1.12, that practice and detachment are the means by which we achieve that restraint. And that practice then, as Master Patanjali goes on to describe, is meant to be sustained, uninterrupted with devotion for a long time, a lifetime, many lifetimes. And that detachment, the other side of this coin, detachment, is the transcendence of the sensory gratification or the sensory, the five senses, transcending the five senses so that we might perceive the spiritual energy of the universe. And then last week we talked about the nature of the divine that we may perceive, Ishvara. And it starts in this sutra, Ishvara pranidhanadva, Sometimes like I say it's like the only shortcut in the Yoga Sutra, if there was to be one. And it's usually translated along the lines of, or you could just surrender everything to God. And then also Master Patanjali, like it helps us understand, because God, so let me just say this, as we said last week, and I'll say again and again and again, yoga is not a religion. It has roots in religious traditions, but yoga itself is not a religion. Yoga is a spiritual practice of devotion. And the difference there is that I think religion implies like a specific set of beliefs and practices, whereas spirituality implies maybe a curiosity or an interest or a seeking, a yearning, a journey toward something bigger than yourself. And then, and in this text, we are never presented with this construct of the divine as fixed or as finite. It's not like this thing. So like, I grew up, as I've said, I grew up in a home of, in the Jewish tradition. And I think in most interpretations, in most modern contexts of the Abrahamic faith lineages of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, there's this sense that like there's God over there and there's me over here, and I go to God's house, to the mosque, to the church, to the temple as the place where God lives, and I go there to have this like moment with God, and there's a priest, a rabbi, an imam who facilitates that relationship. In this text, the word that is translated as God is Ishvara, and that literally means like the most choicest, like the choicefullest, almost like the most attractive. And it's the sense that every single one of us is on a personal journey to discovering the divine. Sarah Page likes to say, and I love to say this as well after hearing you say it, the God of our understanding. And that there's no right or wrong answer. There are attributes of the divine, right? God is beyond cause and effect in time and place and circumstance. And that God is the seed of all knowledge. But that's not like it doesn't say God is Krishna or Shiva or there isn't this like one right answer. And especially in Hinduism, or the practices of Sonatan Dharma, that like it is equally valid to be a devotee of Krishna, of Shiva, of Durga, of Kali, of Ganesha, of Lakshmi, like you could Parvati, like there's so many interpretations of divine presence and wisdom, and that they're all equally valid because the one that matters the most is the one that calls to your heart. So that's sort of like we've come up to this point in the study. And then we reach 127, which is the first verse, and I'll chant this one, and we're going to look at 127, 8, and 9. So again, this is like a series that all describes attributes of one central idea, and in this case, it's the central idea of Om. So the Sanskrit of this verse is Tasya Vachaka Pranava. Tasya Vachaka Pranava. And we're going to talk about Om a lot. So if it is in any way possible for you, wherever you are, in whatever time, place, space you're listening to us right now, if you can, pause, right? If you're driving, be safe. If you are working in the kitchen with sharp objects, also please be safe. And if it is possible, maybe put those things down and just take a moment and notice how you're physically taking your seat, like your seat in a literal or metaphorical sense. And maybe just bring a little intentional organization to that seat, like sit up nice and tall, feel some length in your spine. Like you could feel that the tailbone could lengthen down a little and the crown of your head could lift up a little. Most of us who sit at screens all day could probably pull our chin up and back slightly. And you could just close your eyes and just tune in to what's going on right now. Without having to fix it or change it or manage it or handle it, could you just observe it? How have you arrived in this moment? And if you like, and if it's in your practice, you could bring your hands together in front of your heart This is a mudra, a seal, and this one is Anjali mudra. It's like a seal of your hands, the source of action right in front of your heart, right there at the energetic heart space. And one thing you could notice, if it's possible, wherever you are, to join me in the recitation of one vibration of Om. See if you can experience it to start as a physical sensation. Feel the vibration of the sound in the front of your face, in your heart, in your hands. Take a deep breath in. Breathe all the air out. And for one vibration of Om, inhale. Chanting verse 27 of the first chapter. Tasya vachaka pranava. Tasya vachaka pranava. Tasya vachaka pranava. So again, a short verse with a lot of meaning to unpack. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali by Sri Swami Satchidananda, this verse is translated, the word expressive of Ishvara is the mystic sound Om. And pranava is the word in Sanskrit that is used to describe Om. And then just to give a sense of this context, verse 28 from the same translation, I'll spare the Sanskrit, is to repeat it with reflection upon its meaning is an aid, A-I-D, an assistance, right? To repeat it with reflection upon its meaning is an aid. And then verse 29, from this practice, all the obstacles disappear and simultaneously dawns knowledge of the inner self. From this practice, all the obstacles disappear and simultaneously dawns knowledge of the inner self. So we're given this sense of like, there's a divine presence that each of us is on a journey to understand that has these attributes of being beyond time, space, cause, effect, and that this idea of Ishvara is the seed of all knowledge. And then we're told it's represented in the sound Om. And to repeat it with reflection upon its meaning is an aid in our practice. And that from this practice, all the obstacles disappear and we gain an inner knowledge, a deep knowledge of the capital S, self. So let me pause there for a moment and invite each of you, whoever wants to go first. There's so much to unpack and there's so much in these amazing, simple, powerful, mystical, eternal words. What translation of these verses has really spoken to each of you?
It's funny because in all my confusion, I forgot to spend time looking at 129. But it's so funny because what I jotted down from Jagannath is that he shares this following definition from help me with the pronunciation.
The Mandukya Upanishad.
That, I'm working on it. And I love what it said. It says, Om stands for supreme reality. It is symbol for what was, what is, and what will be. Om represents also what lies beyond past, present, and future. That's exactly what it feels to me. I didn't understand, and now I'm looking at 129 from The Secret Power of Yoga. By faithful repetition, the inner light luminosity shines. And that's my experience. And I was like, oh, I'm having the experience of 129, but I kind of forgot to look at it. So that's what's, I think, been really interesting to me. I love also for 127, the expression of Ishvara is the mystic sound of Om. And that's from Inside the Yoga Sutras by Reverend Jagannath Karara. And I like how he goes on to deal similar to detail Om, similar to what you shared in the beginning. But I love that it was the word used to denote Ishvara needs to be special. It should be free of limitations of time, circumstance, or faith tradition. Not only should this designation be universal, it must also bring the experience of Ishvara to the practitioner. Sir Patanjali states that this name, Om, accomplishes that. And that just all rings very true to me.
How about you, Sarah Page?
Well, we can go home now. That was beautiful. I was saying earlier how I've just really gotten into this book, The Heart of Yoga by Desikachar, TKV Desikachar, Krishnamacharya's son. And he goes through everything. There's just a wealth of information, and he really cites things in a different way. So this won't be like I've been doing it in other podcasts. It's a little different, but he takes it and he asks the question for 127, how should we refer to God? How should we address him? And then he says, in different cultures and in different religions, different words are used to describe God and his qualities. It is more important that we express God with the greatest respect and without any conflicts. Hello, no conflicts. In this, a teacher can be a great help because quote unquote religion is full of conflict. Everybody believes something different. And he's going, no, it's not religion. It's not religion. That's not what it is. It's respect. And then for 128, how do we relate to God? In order to relate to God, it is necessary to regularly address him properly and reflect on his qualities. Patanjali suggests that it's necessary to reflect constantly on the qualities of God. And this might be aided by the repeated recitation of his name together with prayer and contemplation. But mechanical repetition and prayer is worthless. I'm going to repeat that. Mechanical prayer and repetition is worthless. If you do it just because, I got to get this, I got to get the check mark next to it and do it, then don't. It must be accompanied by conscious thought and consideration and by profound respect. He has mentioned respect in each one of his definitions. And for 129, for those who have faith in God, such reflections will inevitably be beneficial. The individual will in time perceive, I love this, the individual will in time, not right away, but in time perceive his true nature. He will not be disturbed by any interruptions that may arise in his journey to the state of yoga. Samadhi.
Well, and can I just add, I love that you pointed that part out because I also highlighted from The Secret Power of Yoga by Nishala Joy Devi. And she says, the sacred sound must pluck the strings of our heart in order to unite our entire being. Often we are accustomed to repeating the same prayer with our mind and heart engaged elsewhere. Then the prayer is only giving lip service. She's saying the same thing. The real grace comes from when we are unified on all levels of our being.
We were talking to that earlier, right? We were speaking to it just a little bit earlier. I know, I'm going to start crying, but it was like, we were talking about earlier before the podcast in our pre-show chat about how there are so many different syllables in Aum. Om, Aum, all of this kind of stuff. And
well, let's clarify. Let's pause. Sarah Page, I don't mean to interrupt you. Let's actually just break that down for a second. So Om is said to also have 3 distinct syllables. A, U, Om, like with the M, right? Or you could even say that it has 4. There's the 3 sounds, Om, and the silence, right? I think sometimes we don't always honor, or it's not as present. Like, think of it as like, and again, different lineages have different points of view. We should also just say this too. Different lineages have different points of view as to the recitation of this sound. In some lineages, it's pronounced Aum. And there are other lineages which sort of go direct to Om. And I don't want us to, I don't think we have we're not taking a stand on one is right, one is wrong. I've heard masterful teachers who do both, right? As in, like, there's some who do one way, some who do another way. But there is this sense that it's those 3 syllables. Now, again, in some lineages, it's thought that they should be pronounced distinctly. In some lineages, it's thought that, like a Sanskrit rule of grammar, that like the sounds together make the one sound.
But the sweetest sound is at the end. And this is what I was speaking to, which is we do the Om in our lineage. What we do the Om at the beginning of class and at the end of class. And so often we'll do Om, and then I love the vibration at the end, to take that breath and to take in the vibration. And especially when it's everybody, it's a hymn. It's an absolute psalm to get us connected and all of those things. But to stand there, to have the absolute honor and privilege of standing in front of a class of people who have their hands at heart center saying Om all together. For me, the beautiful part, the sweetest part, the samadhi is the period at the end and the vibration. It almost feels invasive to say, Urdhva Hastasana. It really does.
Well, and sometimes in the sea of Om, like asking people to do 3 Oms in their breath, their time, their pace, their octave, and just allow the room, the whole room is vibrating. But I could share quickly from Jagannath Carrera, because I did kind of dig into this. And it said, Om is the original of all sounds. It compromises 3 letters. A, U, M. A is the first sound. You simply open your mouth and you make a sound. All audible sounds begin with this action. It represents creation. The U is formed when the sound rolls forward toward the lips with the help of the tongue and cheeks. This represents evolution. And finally, to make the M sound, the lips come together. The last sound represents dissolution or closure. So together, signify creation, evolution, and dissolution. The entire cycle of life is represented in these 3 letters. And then I added, because in that commentary, it didn't talk about the sound of silence. And for me, that 4th sound, like you guys were sharing, that's where I experienced being both grounded and light at the same time.
Oh, that's beautiful, Sally. Have y'all ever done a silent Shavasana? Just a silent Shavasana? No, it's just the most beautiful. And you can see the energy in the room. How often do we have silence? How often are we allowed? Seth, you live in one of the busiest cities in the world, and
not a lot of silence.
I live in the burbs. I live in the burbs of Jersey, so I get silence quite a bit. But I mean, for me, I crave silence. And it's not, listen, now you could draw the comparison. Seth lives in one of the busiest cities in the world. I live in the suburbs. Sally lives in northern whatever.
California, where I was actually just asked to close my windows because the birds were taking over.
Really loud birds chirping. It was going to be weird on the podcast.
We were like, are there birds in somewhere? Anyway, so there are birds in New Jersey too. But anyway,
there are birds in Manhattan.
They're pigeons. But anyway, so
sorry, so anyway, it's not very yogic of me. I hate pigeons.
Well, real quick, while they're having a giggle, the one other thing that I noted here is from the Jiva Mukti chant book. And this chant and repeat Om and realize the divine within. And that is like simple language to put on my experience.
Chant
that I
and
haven't
repeat
been
Om and realize the divine within.
The divine within.
Yeah. So there's a bunch too, we should just say that like there's a bunch of contexts too of Om, these 3 syllables that have this really powerful representation. So in one context, like Sally was just saying, it's the whole life cycle of the universe from creation to sustenance and then to its dissolution. And that's also sometimes said to represent the sort of trinity of deities of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Right? Brahma, who creates the world, Vishnu, who sustains the world, Shiva, who transforms and eventually, I don't even like the word destroys, but let's just say like transforms the world, right? That like all of that is those 3 syllables. It's also said Om represents the past, the present, and the future in those 3 syllables. It's also said that Om represents the states of consciousness, the waking state, the dreaming state, the dreamless state. And in this context, the silence, sometimes it's even said like the symbol of Om is like those, there's, right, that like the waking state is I'm making the shape, like the sort of backwards the 3 shape. The dream state is the swoop over and down. The dreamless state is the line across, and the dot is samadhi. So like, it's all there. Like it's all in this mystical syllable. And, maybe one way to start is for each of us just to say like, I'll pose this as a start for some inquiry, which is like a student walks up to you and says, what is Om? And like, why do we say it in class? New student, new to yoga. And they walk up to you, Sarah Page, and they say, yeah, what is Om? And like, why do we say it? Like, I don't do it because it's weird. And like, I listen to it, but I don't know what it means. So I don't know if it's for me. But like, why, and why?
I'll be very, very transparent here and very honest. If it's a new student who's like, it's weird to me and blah, 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 I'll say it's just a vibration and a way to connect us all. Now, if it's somebody who wants, and that's all I'll say. Now, if it's somebody who wants to go a little...
That's a great answer.
That's what I say. It's what I say. And usually I forget sometimes, but when I say, let's start with the sound of Om, and I think I would prefer the word vibration. Let's start with the vibration of Om, because that's really what it is. Seth, you've spoken to this before, that Sanskrit is a vibrational language. Om just resonates in the body, when it just physically resonates in the body. So that's what I say. If it was somebody else, I'd say it's a way to connect to the divine. Whatever the divine means to you, whoever divine is to you.
Sally, what do you say?
So something similar. I mean, I say it's the sound of everything, the sound of the sun. It's a vibrational sound that connects us to everything, past, present, and future. It's funny because I've shared with people, my dad died just before my first teacher training. And I have to be honest, like I used to believe I was shy. And for some reason, when he died, I believed I needed to get even more quiet because he sort of encouraged me to speak up. Outdated stories that I've mostly outgrown at this point. But when he died, I just remember before he died, I hated when the teacher called for Om, I was mouthing it. What's that movie where if you don't know the word, you just say watermelon? There's
well, drag queens are still pulling that one.
There's just, so I used to mouth Om because I was so embarrassed to join the group. And now when my dad died, like Om was the place where I could start getting more and more confident, actually belting it out at this point. And then it was weird. I felt some connection to him. Like I think the Om was working and I didn't understand about the Om. And then my mom died. And the Om to me is that I connect with my parents. And sometimes I get a little something back. And sometimes I don't. And that's the letting go, but it's a way where I can sort of say, I don't know, thank you for bringing me here. And so I also feel that I finally outgrowing that story that I'm shy, but for me, it's also a really safe place to start speaking up, to adding my sound to the conversation. And so I say that a lot to people, like, or if I'm just asking teachers, like, why are you choosing not to own? Because I think we all need to just know why we're choosing what we're choosing. I'm not going to tell people what to do, For me, it feels like a very safe place to encourage people to join the conversation. And there is a room of ohms is just so,
Oh my God,
like I said earlier, it's so enlivening and grounding at the same time, so.
And it's a beautiful moment. I mean, that's why we start this practice of podcasting with Om. It's a way to unite us and to unite the 4 people listening. It's like, it's really wonderful to do that. I'm reading, Seth, thank you for sharing this essay by Sharon Gannon. She says something, and I'm going to tattoo this or get it on a t-shirt or something. She goes, you can never go wrong in chanting Om. You can never go wrong chanting the names of God. Whatever name resonates with you, the God of your own understanding, you can never go wrong chanting auspicious words like Shanti, peace. These sounds are like medicine. It's so true. I end every class with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I do the Loka Samastha and the Shanti, Shanti. I don't care where I am. People can't get enough of that. They will say it loudly, and it's medicine. We're living in a really difficult time.
Let's just make sure we also give Om Shanti is said, like Shanti means peace, and it's repeated 3 times. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And then it's followed by Hari Om in the Jivamukti lineage and many others. And the mantra that Sarah Page is referencing is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere, the Jivamukti translation, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom of all beings everywhere. And I
paraphrase that wildly.
I know you do. I'm giving the translation of the lineage of my teachers, because if I have anything to offer, it is by their grace, and I have a real reverence for lineage. And we were talking about this. I was saying actually how I was reading and thinking about this week, and I had the just unbelievable privilege of taking class with my teacher's teacher over this past weekend. And I literally took class with a teacher with whom my teacher apprenticed. And I said to her after class that, and I've taken her class before. She we're not close, but she knows me, and I'm a very dedicated student of my teacher, and because I also teach, I sub at the studio, so I help if she has questions with the Zoom stuff or whatever. It is a privilege to be of service to my teacher's teacher, truly. And I said to her that, we don't often give reverence to lineage in the West, but it's so meaningful in these Eastern cultures and lineages. The lineage of that disciplic succession, the wisdom and the instruction passed from teacher to student, and then to the student who becomes teacher, and then to students and to infinite. It is especially quite beautiful to have the opportunity and privilege to show respect for my teacher by showing my reverence for her teacher. I even used to say this at work, actually, that the way we honor our mentors is to take what we've learned and put it into practice, and then to teach others. And something about Om here really resonates in this way to me, that Om is this. Because my answer to that question is that Om is the sound of sound. I don't even like to think of, I don't even say make the sound of Om. That implies that we are capable of creating something that is so far bigger and more vast than anything, right? We don't in many lineages, it's said too, like, and we don't create, we just organize, we just move stuff around, right? The divine is the only thing that actually creates or destroys. We just move stuff around, it changes state. But like, if you believe in look, there's physics that says, in the preservation of mass and energy, it just changes form and place, time, shape, context. The divine is that which is beyond shape, place, time, context. And so you could say that Om is the sound of sound. We don't make the sound of Om. Om was, is, and will be. Om is always in the background. Sally mentioned this. I once found this video from NASA, and they actually play the sound of the electromagnetic frequency, like the radiation of the sun. And guess what it sounds like? Om. And so if Om is what was, is, and will be, there's something really beautiful that, like, to say a vibration of Om, because we don't make it. It's there, right? Someone right now on this planet is always, right? Someone right now is saying Om. Someone somewhere on the planet Earth is saying Om. I just choose to believe that. I think it's true with a couple billion people and a lot of yogis and a lot, and Om also is a point of reference in multiple faith lineages and actual, Buddhism and Jainism and Hinduism and Sonatan Dharma and right. So we just organize ourselves to be a channel from which Om can flow from the subtle into the gross, right? From the subconscious into the conscious, from the ether into the material, just for a moment. So it's not that I'm making it. I'm just organizing myself, my breath, to allow that to flow through me for just this moment. Because to me, there's like a beautiful humility of that. And so like the simple answer to your point, like the simple answer is like, Om is the sound of sound. Om is the sound of what was, is, and will be. And we make the sound, or we bring the sound into the space as a point of connection and as a point to just touch into something a little bit bigger than ourselves.
I really want to hop in here. It's so much. We're jumping all over each other too, because this is such a great thing.
So rich.
It's so rich.
Hours about Om.
Hours and hours. We were on for an hour and 15 before we just talking about it. And there is so much. One thing I will say, we're going back to reference and how we come to it reverently. I ask the front desk to please not let anybody enter during Om. Please don't let anybody enter during Om. It's a real, and sometimes they slip through and you can just feel the energy shift, because now it's been, but the thing you had mentioned, Seth, about the Upanishad said that A is the waking state, U the dream state, M is the state of dreamless sleep, and then you have the last, which is samadhi, the silence. And then it goes on, Desikachar says the parallel points to the ones who stands behind all four states, the one who is truly awake, Ishvara, which is God, the God of your understanding. And then he goes on and on and on. He goes, Ishvara Pranadhana, which we went through last week, is one of the strongest ways for dispelling the obstacles we meet as we move forward in life. And I love that. But there's another thing. We were talking about the reverence. And Desikachar was saying that and I wanted to bring this up because we also talk about appropriation and trying not to be appropriative and to cite the correct sources and to be very, very ethical and authentic.
To the best of our ability.
To the best of our ability. We're three white people doing our best. And, we are not born in India but we're doing our best, and we have deep love for this lineage. He says that he was and I found this fascinating. He said that he was at a big yoga conference, and he saw all of these people wearing Om. For us, Om is not a gadget or a decoration. We regard it with the utmost seriousness and respect. And then he goes on to say, I think that the story, he went on to try and clear that up, any confusion during the conference and blah, blah, blah. And he was met with a lot of resistance. And he said, I think the story exemplifies the confusion that exists between Hinduism and yoga. Seth, you talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. It's based in Hinduism, but it's not. That's not, because even among the teachers of yoga
is not a religion.
Exactly. It's not a religion.
I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. Yoga is not a religion.
Exactly. He goes, the symbol of Om also belongs to the Buddhists and the Jain traditions and the Sikh traditions. It is not exclusive to Hinduism. To misuse it willingly is to act with disrespect towards all these groups. Reverence, seeing it, and that's what it goes to. And that's really what I think he is talking about, is like, I remember even with the namaste, we have in the studio that I teach in Metuchen, which is very close to Islam, is very Indian based. And I'm very careful. I'm very, very careful, because I remember saying, I think my Southern accent came out.
Can I maybe challenge that word at Sarah Page and say respectful?
Which word? Respectful. I am very respectful. I am careful. I am very careful. So anyway.
You are careful, but like not as in like
I am respectful. Yes.
Fragile.
I see what you're saying.
You are full of care.
Yes.
I just want to be clear that like that word implies that you're like being hesitant or like careful. And I think there's more about like, no, you care deeply.
I care about I don't want to offend anyone in any way. That is not at all what I'm about. And I want to get it right.
You care deeply
Not appropriate.
I know. I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying it's about caring that we are reverent and respectful and acknowledge these lineages.
It goes to the namaste. It goes to the namaste. And I think I said something like namaste, and she stayed with me after class and like went through it with me. She said, namaste is very sacred. She goes, it is the way we greet, the way we say goodbye, but it's very sacred. And so like it's namaste, and it's not, and it matters. These things matter.
It's not namaste in bed.
It's not namaste away. And it's not namaste bitches.
Look, we all, right. I mean,
I'm just going to
I think we're like, and again, like, oh no. My desk started rising. Accidentally hit a button.
Well, and can I just put in here, like, I'm going to put in here that maybe we're all doing the best we can on our journey. And there's times where these things, they just shift inside of us. You know what I mean? So I don't want to per se make anyone wrong. I used to wear t-shirts that I don't wear anymore. And I also am thinking, I can't remember which book, but one of the books said, and it really was helpful to me, and I feel helpful right now because I can get overwhelmed in what I don't know, and then I get afraid that I'm not an expert and I can't share this. But one of, said, seek not to memorize or learn the sutras, but seek to study the one who studies. And that's what I'm thinking here, even with the Om. Like I noted that I have found speaking Om has given me clarity and courage off my mat. Like when I'm called to speak up for myself and others, I find that I'm quicker to be able to speak up. I've become better at conversations that I used to run away from before I started practicing Om. And it wasn't like this time as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, it's working. And maybe I'm finding my God. That's always been really scary to me. But the feeling is coming. The feeling is here. And so now maybe the mental will follow, if that makes any sense.
Om is also, relative to Amen. Like Amen.
Right, thank you.
Amen.
Right.
Or Amin.
Amen. Amin. ShalOM.
Yeah. All of those things. All of those things. And it's, we try so hard in the West to make quote unquote religion, which of course we've already very well established, but to make it the right way. This is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And there's no right way.
It's often presented. Maybe it's better said, like it's often presented, like it certainly was to me as a little Jewish boy, that like, we are the chosen people. And like, they'll figure it out. As in like, but there, how can there be there, like, there's only one God, and that like, if, saying that Jesus is God is like, like it's presented in a very black and white, like right and wrong. dogmatic context. And there's something very, very different here. There's something very different here. Ishvara is not presented in the Yoga Sutra as that like fixed one construct. It's a deeply, deeply personal experience in the same way that Om is like not a sound we make, but is an embodied experience that is palpable, it's observable, it's tangible, tactile, and it's not just theory, it's not just an idea, it's an action. And there's something about, again, like letting go of the creation of it, but instead, like it does require action to allow ourselves to be its channel, its conduit for a moment, right? It requires like a good heartfelt Om requires you to like just have a think about where you're sitting and how you're sitting or how you're standing and the breath that is flowing in and out of you, and that you are going to take one exhalation and intentionally align that vibrational energy to the sound of sound. And I think this is also where maybe I admit, like I do have an Om tattooed on my body, and I will say why. It's right behind my right ear. It's hard to see on the, I don't know, can you see it on the podcast? Can you see it if I turn over? And it sits over a little lotus, and it's a very simple graphic. And I put it behind my right ear because in the yogic energetic system, the right side is the future or forward, the left side is the past or back. And it was in a moment of big life transition. It was I was between things. I had just turned 40. I literally had it done the night before my 40th birthday, which felt like a maybe arbitrary, but a milestone. And it was a reminder that like I've come this far, and now I'm on this journey, and I knew I'd just done my first teacher training. I wasn't even teaching yet. But what I knew was that Om is like what arises, like it's the Om is the jewel in the lotus. Om mani padme Om. Right? It said like that mantra, it said that the jewel is in the lotus. And you could say even that like Om is like right there. And so the idea of Om arising from the lotus, then the lotus has to grow through the mud in order to open, right? The no mud, no lotus. I think that's Thich Nhat Hanh. And that putting it right behind my right ear was a reminder that like when I get like quiet and hear Om, I will always go in the right direction. Om will always take me forward to the right place. Om will always take me where I'm supposed to go. That Om will never take me anywhere besides where I need to be. And that if I'm quiet and I listen, it's always there. And it requires me to like really pay attention. And so like that's, to me, is very reverent.
But your why is reverent. I was just about to say, it wasn't without understanding what you were doing and all of that. I think that what Desikachar, I mean, the last time he spoke to me about it, what he was saying was great chats. Anyway, I think it's this just sort of, no reverence, just wearing it on your shirt.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is it just like,
what's your why? What's your why?
What's your why?
Yeah.
Okay. And like full disclosure over here, I got it tattooed on myself too.
Okay. I have no tattoos for the listening audience.
Oh, that's right.
I've got the namaste with an Om ending on my arm. I put this on me, my first tattoo. And I had just come home from India and just finished my first teacher training too. And I was not sure that I was already teaching or just about to teach when I got back. I think I was already teaching, but new. And I was in a mosque with my daughter and her husband at the time. And there was a woman with what I made up, because we didn't talk, was maybe her husband and maybe her child. And I felt this tremendous connection to her. Don't know her name, never spoke to her. And I didn't understand what I understand, but I think I understood more than I thought I understood. I felt deeply connected, and I didn't want to ever forget that we are all connected. And there it goes. So I can apologize to anyone who's offended by it, but it is deeply meaningful to me. And I look at,
But you
I
have
put
a
it in
very
a place
definitive.
where I see it.
But yeah, that's
You
the
have
point.
a why, though. You have
Yeah.
the why.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the
I
point,
think I think what Desikachar was talking about, and I agree, and I do agree with this. Why do we say namaste? Why do we say om? Why do you have it tattooed
Should
on
we
your
take
body?
a moment and just make sure we're clear? What does namaste mean?
The light in me honors the light in you. That's one of the things. It's also a greeting. You know, when we were in India, people
very
regularly
common. Namaste.
namaste. Also, you hear Hari Om.
Yeah,
you would
I've
hear
always
Hari Om.
thought of it.
Haribol.
I've always thought as like the best in me, or the me right here sees the you right here too. So I always thought of it as that, an exchange. Basically, hello in this moment.
But there are reasons that we do what we do and why we say what we say. And I think that the thing I'm getting out of this conversation more than I'm getting much is, again, going back to the why, is the reverence, is coming into the reverence. And as long, I really do believe this, and I know us very well. So I know that our intentions are very good, you know, that we do care, that we don't want to appropriate. Very reverent. We do not want to appropriate, and we are very open to. We're all trained in Baptiste.
We're all open. We're going to learn and grow,
and feedback. You know, we're all there about it, and so
totally.
You know, so
I don't want to skip this. The light in me sees, honors, and cherishes the light in you, the light, which is the light of divine loving kindness within every single one of us.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's my expressionistic interpretation.
And I think it's a really good thing as we move through our lives and our days and our weeks and our months and our years that we rethink about these things.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Just like,
yes. Thank you for saying that, Sally.
Yeah. So I just feel like Om for me is a really powerful part of the practice right now.
Yeah.
Huge.
And maybe for the rest of my life. I find it brings me both calm and energy. I find that nothing changes and everything changes. And maybe I'm just reminded of the duality of being human and here. But I do think it's I was just talking to a newer teacher that was asking me for feedback on Friday. And I just asked her, it's like, just dig in. Why yes or why no? Like, do a little bit research and just know what you're standing for. My answer is not the right answer, but know why, you know. And she said, look, someone told me that it's offensive if we say namaste at the beginning and end of class. And I was like, yeah. And I think
I've heard it too. And I have thoughts.
Look into it.
I have thoughts as well.
But the thing is, what I said is, it doesn't need to stop you. And if it feels right to take a pause in it, do it. Just know why. Or same with the Om. I feel like we need to know. I see it as very much respecting, like trying to understand in this. And it might not be everyone's point of view. Like, my intention would not be to appropriate, but I also am really big. I mean, this might sound completely ridiculous, but I look into my back little garden and there's olive bushes there that I planted when I was lucky enough to come home from Croatia, because I loved looking at the olive trees. And then I was lucky enough to go to France and there was lavender. So what's in front of the olive trees now? Lavender. I mean, I don't think, you know what I mean? So I'm really honoring these places where I've got to go and happen to have a similar climate to where I live. So these plants will grow. But I look there and I see so much more than an olive bush and a scraggly little lavender.
Well, that's such a beautiful, no, I mean, right. And maybe this is where we got to start to, bring us home. I mean, because we could talk about this all day, but that like, Sally, what a beautiful analogy that you've just given us, that like we all tend the garden of our mind. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a sense of what I mean by that, right? You tend the garden of your mind, and we plant the seeds of that which we have reverence, and for that which we love, and that which we want to see. And like, I think Om to me is both like planting the seed and watering it every time. I'm not too fussy, like, or too yes, no about much in yoga, but like, to me, for the way I want to practice, like a class without Om feels a little incomplete. Now, plenty of different lineages, plenty of people have different points of view, same like namaste. I mean, again, like all three of us have been to India. You hear people just say namaste very, not casually, but like it's just a very common greeting, right? Now, in the same way that like there are parts of India where people say Jai Ram. That's just a greeting, like Jai Ram, which is, a name of the divine, like you could say. So there's an infinite number of practices and an infinite number of opinions, and all we can do is share the opinions that are informed by our experiences, our teachers, and our own personal reverence. And I think, that's a good place to start to ground down for for a discussion of the eternal that could be eternal. So every week we offer a little bit of inquiry, which is just a point of inspiration for you. And you can take it however you like. You could just sort of chew on it over time. You could write it down and journal on it. You could talk to a friend about it if you maybe both listen to the Sutra Squad podcast. So Sarah Paige, what is an inquiry that is inspired by this discussion for you?
I love this because it's something I've been working on. So I'm going to ask you to inquire what I've been inquiring, which is, what is your why? When you get stuck in something, or you are conflicted around something, or you want to do something, for me personally, I have to step back and go, why do I want to do it? Is my intention pure and good, or is there ego involved that will stop it? Why do I want to do it?
Beautiful. How about you, Sally?
So I don't know why I'm prefacing, like, without judgment and with curiosity, I offer, do you join in an Om? What do you notice when you do or do not Om? What comes up when you reflect on the meaning of Om? And can you possibly see the value of paying more attention to your inward response to your outward actions?
Say that last one again.
Uh-huh.
Can you see the value of paying more attention to your inward response to your outward actions?
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too.
Down. Writing it down, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
You're so welcome.
I'll just add to this beautiful, these beautiful points of inquiry. Just think about what Om means to you. Just to Sally's point, like, if you don't Om, think about why. If you do, think about why. And one way, if you're not sure, or you're like in discovery, first of all, just honor that you're in discovery, that it's okay. If you don't want to Om and you're in a class of people that Om, well, we got you. You can receive benefit from just listening and absorbing the vibration. But maybe one beautiful place to start is to experience it just as something very physical. Like, just feel in your body. If you listen to it, how it feels when it resonates around you. If you try making the sound, just notice how it feels, like as an actual vibrational experience.
PSA, it is addictive. Once you start Oming, you never stop.
It's a good addiction.
It's a good addiction.
Yeah, I mean, it is to be repeated over a long period of time, and its repetition is an aid to the consciousness. You literally just re-quoted the actual sutra. That's stunning. that happy dance.
I got a little bit of,
and then we offer it
goosebumps.
You did it, sis. We offer a teaching tip. So if you teach, you give asana classes and you're hearing and listening, maybe this is some inspiration. If you are a student, well, you're a teacher to one person. That's you, because you're your best teacher. So Sarah Paige, what's a teaching tip for this week based on this conversation?
I'm going to say it. Do the Om. Say Om at the beginning of class. Do the Om. And at the end of class.
Do the Om.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Yeah. There's something really like, I mean, this is a whole other conversation too, which is like the first time you lead an Om, the first time you say Om first, it's like, and like you just, yeah. And you like, it's something to be done also, I think, a little bit fearlessly, because here's what I'll say too. It's okay. Like, don't worry. Like, I know tone deaf teachers who Om beautifully. I know singers who Om awkwardly. So what
you can't
makes it
Om
not
wrong
is your reverence. Well, what makes it not awkward is your reverence and your intention. Sally, what's your teaching tip for the week?
So I always allow the practice to be a practice of connection, like a feeling practice. Notice your thoughts and how they're landing in your body. Notice the cues and how they're landing in your body. Choose the words and the thoughts that uplift your mind, body, and spirit, and create space for connection and letting go of the outdated. I was going to say shit, but I'm going to say stuff.
You just said it.
Said it anyway.
It's over. Beep. You know, a sea of ohms will bring me to my knees.
Yeah. So I'll just quickly summarize that practice. So the way I would instruct it is when I ask people to bring their hands together in front of their heart, I might say, we're just going to do a sea of ohms today. So we'll start together. And then when you complete your first, you don't need to wait for me. You don't need to wait for anybody else. Just like dive right back in, and we'll create this sea of ohms, this like uninterrupted Om. And when you're complete with your third, you can just allow everyone else to be complete and just hold that space and try to be still and notice the moment of stillness when we're all complete. Yeah, a sea of ohms is actually quite a beautiful practice. Okay, so my teaching tip would be to make a bold request of students to participate in Om, first of all. And you can just put it front and center and just say, I'm going to ask you to Om with me. And like, consider that like Om belongs to everyone. There is like, as long as your intention is to have a moment of presence and reverence, there is no way you can do it wrong. And there is no way that it's going to be appropriative, because it is about you and your heart and allowing the sound of your heart to be manifest into the physical form as vibrational energy of sound. And so don't worry about harmony. Don't worry about singing. Don't worry about anything. Make a heartfelt call to yourself and just join me and make the sound of Om. Would be the first one. I would just really make a bold demand and say, not demand, a bold request to join the Om. And the second I would say as a teaching tip is just like, find a moment in your class, like to like talk about it. Just like talk about what it means. Like, why do we Om? Like, you don't have to stop the whole class and give like a 15-minute lecture, but you could certainly weave it into, you could think about the music you choose if you teach with music. You could think about how the sound of Ujjayi breath is like a reflection of Om. It's like a shadow of Om. There's so many ways to talk about it. There's amazing, you can just Google essays. The Jiva Mukti Focus of the Month has multiple essays about Om, with more in-depth teaching tips. But like, teach it. Like, say it. Teach it, say what it means to you, and say what it means to you. I think something students love I always get this feedback is like, students want to hear our experience as teachers. And now let me just say this, it's not by making the class about you. That is about offering from your experience to inspire the room. Right? That is not about like regaling students with your wisdom of Om. That is very much about speaking to your belief as a point of inquiry and inspiration for students to discover their own belief. Right? It's a fine line, but like, and if you don't play with it, you'll never find it in your own voice. So like, if you're hesitant, do it. Just do it. Make the request for people to join. Say something about what it means to you and see what happens.
And it's addictive.
In the best way.
In the best
in
possible way.
In the best way, right? We're given the instruction to repeat it as an aid to our practice. Well, being in community with the two of you, and with every single person who has our deepest reverence, respect, and appreciation for the time you take to listen to the sound of our voices and to enjoy the experience of your own discovery. And if we inspire any additional discovery, it is by the grace of our teachers and by the grace of each other's presence, because all we can try to do is illuminate something that you already know, like all great teachers of wisdom lineages. So I love you, Sarah Page.
I love you, Seth.
And I love you, Sally.
I love you both. Thank you. Really,
I love you too, Sally. I love you. I love you.
Yeah, this is just an absolute heart work in the best way. And to all of you listening, we love you and we're so grateful. And please consider subscribing, liking this episode, sending a comment, leaving us a review. If you gained any benefit, if you believe you gained any benefit from the sound of our words, consider sharing it with someone else. And with that, I'll say thank you. And we'll see you again or talk to you again very soon on the Sutra Squad podcast. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.